Part 111. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1111. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. With the physical body, you can block the power of the monk of the Emperor Heaven level. When Ling Longtian said this, even Xuanhuan patriarch shuddered consciously. According to the habits of the era of Ling Longtian, the monks of the real fairy land are called the Emperor, and the 5 levels of the real fairy surpass the real immortal cultivation, which is called the Emperor Heaven. The territorial power above the true immortals is so amazing, but the ancestor level characters of the power of the Baron can only be blocked by the flesh. How can it be achieved against the sky? This kind of flesh, can't even the immortal soldier be able to break with one blow. Now Ling Longtian has revealed the secrets of the Huangzi one by one, and talents such as Wei Suo really realized why Ling Longtian had some disdainful qualities in the face of the divine profound power that exceeded her many strengths. When the tribe, it will be so frightened. No wonder this kind of true fairy level characters of the aristocrats, in Ling Longtian's mouth, are just small first-class characters. In addition to the strength of the flesh, to what extent was the strength of the top ancestor level figure among the Baron at that time? Wei Suo took a deep breath and asked. It is comparable to the great emperor of our time. One person can at least stand alone against 2 emperor level figures. Ling Longtian looked at Wei Suo. At that time, there were more than one such characters among the Baron, if not the monks of that era. There are a lot of amazing talents. Beigong has taken advantage of the land, otherwise Beigong will have no chance to win in our battle. There have been so many warriors in the world, and we don't know it, and we don't see it in the records of the classics. Xuanhuan ancestor and witch goddess couldn't help but glance at each other. Both of them are one party overlord, the genius figure of this era, but at this moment it is inevitable to have a sense of sitting on the sky. Compared to the characters, they only felt that the monk was like a mortal, and those people were true gods. In addition to the physical strength of the flesh, many of the skills of the Aborigines are also very special, all directly rely on swallowing, destroying, and integrating to improve cultivation. Ling Longtian swept everyone. Bing Han said, some of their exercises can even devour not only the demon pill of the demon beast, but also the body of the monk and the golden pill. Did it eat the monk's flesh and Jindan, wouldn't it be the same as the spirit beast? Han Weiwei exclaimed. Her face was white, and at the same time she exclaimed, she also reacted, and the barbarian was definitely better than the spirit eater. The beast is much scarier. The Water Emperor's tactics for consuming the sun and the many powerful techniques on the side of the Baron at that time also evolved from some instincts and methods of the Baron. It is precisely because of these powers and the spells are too natural and the nature of the Huangs, so there were only a lot of monks in the power who joined us to fight against the Huangs. Otherwise, no matter what conditions the Huangs opened, all the monks, from a certain in a sense, it is also food for the barbarians. The higher the cultivation level, the more useful it is for barbarians. Ling Longtian glanced at Han Weiwei, and then said. Ordinary Baron, are they born with such 4 arms? Does the higher the level of cultivation, the more arms are born, and the head will be born? Just like the incarnation of the body? After the rebirth of this devil, the barbarian, repair in order to improve, Wei Suo asked quickly, his eyes flashing, and he didn't know what he was thinking. An ordinary barbarian is born with very large arms, but with 2 arms, 4 arms will be born when he reaches the weight of the true immortal. Afterwards, as the cultivation progresses, the arms are indeed growing more and more, which is a sign of powerful magical power, but the head, however, not every Baron can spawn. Only those who cultivate some unique magical powers and mutate to produce barons with powerful bloodlines will have more heads. Ling Longtian looked at Wei Suo, and there was no longer any taboo. Detailed, he said, it's just that a skull is born in this life, it really is like an extra avatar, completely splitting the consciousness. you can control the true elements in the body at the same time, cast different powerful methods, and even if the two heads are cut off one head, it will not fall. If the ancestor level Baron with 3 heads grows, it is exactly like the 3 emperor level characters who cast spells. They can hold dozens of magic weapons. The speed of casting is unimaginable. His Ling Longtian said that Xuanhuan ancestors and witch goddesses suddenly took another breath. It is unimaginable that the speed of the Emperor Heaven level characters surpassing the true immortals is equivalent to that of the 3 Emperor Heaven level characters. How many magic powers can be played in that instant? No wonder the supreme power of the Baron is comparable to the great Emperor of the era of Ling Longtian. If such a character appears now, I am afraid that he would stand there, and let all the powerful men of this era besiege together and stand still, unable to move at all. After the rebirth of this kind of demon, it is almost impossible to cultivate in order to ascend. It can only be maintained in the current state and stop going downhill. And unless it is the power of the nomad who cultivates other powerful mysteries, after being reincarnated once, he could not be reincarnated. Looking at the name of Wan Li Suying's mirror still standing in the void, the motionless 4-armed barbarian, Ling Longtian then said to Weizhuo. So, if only this one Baron is left, then this last barbarian will have at most a few hundred years of Shaoyuan left, Weizhuo asked, blinking his eyes. Yes, and the Huangs are just like our spirits. Except for a few exercises and spells related to the spirits and the Huangs, most of the spells and magic weapons in the Taoist realm today cannot be controlled. Longtian nodded and said. According to what you said earlier, this barbarian has nearly fallen, it is a decline in full function. Then the repair of this kind of demon after the rebirth is reduced. Does it also include consciousness, perception, and the like? There is no pause, Weizhuo continued asked. What are your plans? Ling Longtian immediately felt Weizhuo's attempt. After looking at Weizhuo, his eyes flickered and nodded. Yes, after the reincarnation of the magic tire, the performance also declined. This although the human ability to shoot is very likely to surpass the ancient emperor's corpse, and the reaction and thinking must not have lost most of the thinking than the ancient emperor's corpse, it is definitely more difficult to deal with the enemy than the ancient emperor's corpse, and the means are more, but the consciousness and perception I am afraid that it is even worse than the ancient emperor's corpse, because like the ancient emperor's corpse, the spirit of the gods is immortal. And the consciousness and perception are not weaker than before. Do you think we haven't avoided immortal Jade Mountain, and with his present consciousness and perception, how far we are from him, he shouldn't be able to perceive us? Weizhuo did not immediately answer Ling Longtian's question, but instead immediately asked another sentence. At least 6,000 miles. Ling Longtian's eyes flashed with gold, and said. For grasping these perception distances, Ling Longtian is more precise than any monk today, because she experienced the battle of 60,000 or 70,000 years ago and saw the powerful consciousness perception range of that era. Fajun, what are your plans? The witch goddess and others also knew that Weizhuo must have some calculations in mind, otherwise it would be absolutely impossible to repeatedly ask questions about the detection distance of perception and consciousness. I want to borrow a knife to kill someone. Weizhuo took a deep breath, watching the still stay in that void, seemingly still digesting the 4-armed barbarian of the mysterious Xiande Neng who died when he appeared. Said, I want to attract this man from the Baron to deal with those people. This person is also performing the whole defying footwork. As long as it leads to those areas of great power, the other party is likely to perceive the breadth of this person's whole defying footwork. Deal with this person. And we can also use some means to make them think that this person is our helper. You can use a knife to kill people. You can think of it as such. It's a dead profiteer. It's insidious. And the strength of those super big sects is now amazing. Maybe they will hurt both those people and this famine. Ling Longtian suddenly, his eyes gleamed with substantial golden light, and he gritted his teeth. But this kind of dangling existence that we can't deal with is too dangerous. It's a little unexpected. Instead, we overturned the ship completely. Tugging this ghost thing to deal with people like an oil bottle? How dare you do this kind of thing? The old man in green robe suddenly threw his pendulum, thinking about it with fear. There is only such a fight. If there is no escape from the immortal Jade Mountain, this character of the aristocrat can't find us 6,000 miles apart. We can indeed try it. The old face of Xuanhuan's ancestors showed a fierce appearance. Look, otherwise we don't have any means to fight back against those powerful forces now. The other party may soon break into the Tianxian continent, and even Yu Tianzong and 11 Xianyuan are completely insecure. I agree with this calculation. It's not that there is no chance of success. Anyway, if we use the Xiangxianyu mountain, 2 or 3,000 miles, this person can't perceive us. We can try it, use a while to avoid Xiangxianayishan, and then give it to Xiangxianayishan. Yes, I will avoid immortal Jade Mountain and always keep the power that can be used for a certain time, and keep a certain distance from this person. The witch goddess is also a quick calculation, and nodded. She is also the overlord of the monastic world, a true emperor-like character, and naturally, she has a more decisive wind than ordinary monks. Okay. Since that's the case, you can try it now. Ling Longtian's eyes flashed with golden light, and said with a terrible tone. At this moment, the indigo four-armed barbarian seems to have been digested, and a wave of indigo light appeared from his body like a long scarf floating in the void. It seems to have been ready to leave. At the moment, the Xianyu mountain where they are located is almost 6,000 miles away from the four-armed baron. In fact, Ling Longtian wants to give it a try more than anyone else, such as Wei Suo, because if this wild man is allowed to be born, he doesn't know what will happen, even if there are no other wild people at this time. This four-armed barbarian can no longer be contacted, and cannot find the power of the other barbarian. If he is allowed to enter the ruins of some barbarian, get some powerful tools of the barbarian, or accept the disciples, he will need to. It's even harder to deal with. Just knowing the strength of the aristocrats, she knows better than anyone, this approach is too dangerous. I'll take away the immortal Jade Mountain. Hearing Ling Longtian said, Xuanyan patriarch nodded and said such a word to everyone. Everyone, including Wei Suo, immediately understood what he meant. They all used various techniques to hide their breath to the lowest level, and their hearts were extremely nervous. Asterisk. The next chapter is still in the evening. The cold is not good, the daughter is coughing a little bit, and she has no way to accompany her daughter during the New Year period, and is forced to be separated from her daughter. It is very painful, crying for comfort. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for Academy 00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1112. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. The punishment also fell. When the fall fell, numerous red lotus fires burst out of the body, and even a large mountain was completely burned to nothing. The red rain fell in the sky, and it fell for 3 days and 3 nights. This is the business of the other day. Fire Emperor Bing's power was swept away. After so many years, the punishment has not been able to find other people in my family, but he has left such a vein. I slept this time, but it has gone through thousands of years. It is very good. In the realm of Taoism, the five-fold cultivation practice of Shenxian has already been in the sky, and there is no true fairy. Just when Xuanhuan ancestors spoke to Wei Suo and others, and were about to withdraw from Immortal Jade Mountain, the four-armed baron with indigo-blue divine light was showing his fangs, licking his lips and mumbling. This man is called Wei Suo, and his cultivation method can actually devour the water demon pill. Among his companions, there is a long horn on his head, which appears from a land in the wildness of the Tianqian continent. Descendants of demon. This four-armed barbarian seems to have read all the memories of the profound power. Suddenly, the body was also a shock, and an extremely shocked look appeared in his eyes. Spirit clan. There are still clans still alive. What kind of clan is the long horn on his head? There is only one or two supernatural powers of Shenxian, but he has not grown up yet. This person must have got that clan. Guide, so I came here. Be sure to find this person. Otherwise let this spiritual race grow up. I am definitely not an opponent, let alone cross-examine some things from this spiritual race. Between a breath, this four-armed barbarian, the whole soul is roaring in general. Among the 7 tips, there is a thick blue flame billowing and terrifying. Just when the entire spirit of the four-armed baron was almost roaring, Weizhou, Xuanhuan ancestor extended his finger and put away the immortal Jade Mountain. With the exception of a mirror for searching thousands of miles, all people did not use any spells or implements. All of them landed on a hill below. They were all afraid of the atmosphere. They looked extremely nervous at this four-armed barbarian movements. Sure enough, I didn't find it. And let Wei Suo, Xuanhuan ancestor, Jia and others all couldn't help but looked at each other with 10 glances. The blue-faced fangs, like the fierce demon four-armed baron, murmured a few words, looking around the directions. He didn't perceive Wei Suo and others, but he was ready to step forward in another direction. Seeing the four-armed baron with blue-faced fangs leave, Jia and everyone else's eyes suddenly focused on Wei Suo, to see how Wei Suo was going to move next. We saw that Wei Suo made a glance at Xuanhuan's ancestor. Xuanhuan's ancestor immediately grasped the enlightenment and quickly took the opportunity to focus on the true element in the mountain of Mount Immortal, inspiring the formation in the Mount Immortal and making it unique. Absorb vitality and keep charging. In the Wanli Suiying mirror, the four-armed barbarian repeatedly launched the whole virtual footwork. A traverse in the void is like a sun jump, spanning at least 300 or 400 miles, which is extremely scary. Wei Suo didn't move. He waited until this terrible four-armed baron was more than 9,000 miles away from them, and was about to go out of the scope of the Wanli search mirror. Wei Suo was shocked by his body, and he played a big game. An avatar was shot and flew in the direction of the four-armed barbarian. At the same time, Wei Suo was still afraid that the four-walled baron would not be able to feel it, and he shot an egoistic sword, followed by the incarnation, and gave a sharp voice of breaking the sky. Go. Immediately, Wei Suo and Xuanhuan ancestor glanced at each other, and Xuanhuan ancestor immediately once again sacred the immortal Jade Mountain and walked away in another direction. Ganjiame, like your spirit clan, there shouldn't be any hindrance when entering and leaving the Sky Dome. At the same time, Wei Suo asked Ling Longtian quickly. Now this strategy of killing people with swords and attracting tigers to fight is likely to succeed. The next step is to calculate, and first try to deal with whom. If the Baron enters and exits the Sky Dome without hindrance, it is natural to go to the nearest place. If it is impossible to enter and exit the Sky Dome, it is to detour and only go to the Sky Dome continent to deal with the forces that may re-enter the Sky Xian continent. First, the road is far away. Second, it is equivalent to attracting wolves into the room. There are many variables. Death profiteers, there is nothing to prevent. The origin of Ling Longtian itself is also very secret. Many of his secrets have not been told to Weizhou. A person like her who has experienced the storms is naturally not comparable to ordinary monks. Although, at first, she was completely panicked and depressed because of the absence of the spirit clan in the Daishanei Shandong mansion, but now she is desperately trying to restore her previous mentality of fighting against the enemy together with Wei Suo, and she called out the dead profiteers. The obvious state of mind has also returned to normal. Dead hooligan, he found your incarnation. At this time, Han Wei screamed again. In the picture of Wan Li Suiying mirror, the four-armed barbarian who left with Zandong's virtual footwork was a fierce meal, a look of surprise, obviously hearing the fierceness of the only heart sword deliberately inspired by Wei Suo breaking the air. Although Wei Suo's unique self-hearted sword also hit 700 or 800 miles, and deliberately made a huge noise, the sound hole of gold cracked stone, I am afraid that it is farther than the thunder, but there are still 7,000 or 8,000 miles apart. The four-armed baron can still hear it, and its perception has indeed reached an alarming degree. I saw that the four-armed baron first paused, and after listening to the sound carefully, he immediately cast a hole in the virtual footsteps, repeatedly traversing the void, and drove madly towards the direction where only my heart was flying. It was only after several ups and downs that the four-armed baron turned around immediately, and everyone could see clearly. The four-armed baron chased the incarnation of Wei Suo accurately. Almost 5,000 miles. Wei Suo and Ling Longtian glanced at each other, and they both said the sentence at the same time. They both saw that the four-armed barbarian felt that Wei Suo's incarnation's position was almost 5,000 miles away. Distance. The breath of Wei Suo's incarnation should be more amazing than the breath after all of them now conceal the breath by magic, so judging from this, as long as the four-armed baron is more than 5,000 miles away, it will not was discovered. But the danger is that the cultivation of this four-armed baron is far superior to Wei Suo, and the Dongxiu footwork is only one step, that is, it spans 300 or 400 miles, so to have a reaction time, it must be at least 6 or 7 apart from it. Thousands of miles away, otherwise if the four-armed baron just happened to take 1 or 2 steps towards them when they were charging away from Immortal Jade Mountain, if they were too late to react, they would most likely lead to disaster. With Wei Suo's current strength, even the body of Shengxuan's fourfold legal power can be hard fought, plus the small pot of fairy tears, witch goddess, Xuanhuan ancestor, and others, even the ancient emperor's body. The place where I really feared the ancient emperor's corpse was the fear of damage to people around me, and the ancient emperor's corpse penetrated the void magic power, and attacking Wei Suo, the witch goddess, and Xuanhuan ancestor may still be able to stop, but if I beat the rest, I am afraid it's all a spike, and Wei Suo can't afford to fall by anyone around him, so now even if he encounters an ancient emperor's body, Wei Suo will definitely choose to escape. Although the four-armed barbarian reborn, the brain is extremely sober. Even if it is the same power as the ancient emperor's body, it must be flexible and changeable, and it has a variety of spells. It is harder than the ancient emperor's body. How much to deal with, and its magical casting distance is long. Only Wei Suo and the witch goddess, Xuanhuan ancestors hold 3 groups, may be able to resist and fight hard for a while, but the rest of the people, I am afraid they will be slowly killing light. Now Wei Suo has no choice at all, and everyone in the world is enemies. It is not safe for the rest to leave. Therefore, we can only hold the idea that all people can die together if they are discovered. 2. Slap. Although the picture displayed by the Wan Li Suiying mirror was silent, all the people's brows were ajump, and they all felt as if the eggshell cracked. The four-armed barbarian crossed the void repeatedly at an alarming speed. Soon after catching up with Wei Suo's avatar, he caught it with 4 hands and found that it was an avatar, directly pinching that avatar into countless pieces of light. Immediately, everyone could not help but take a deep breath. After the four-armed barbarian discovered that he was an incarnation, he looked like a thunderstorm, roaring in the air again and again, hitting devastating fields of light at the same time. They searched around again, and after a while, they searched again on the hilltop where all of them stayed. It is just that his current perception cannot break through the role of avoiding Immortal Jade Mountain, so in that place, he has completely lost his trace, and he can't help violently playing a piece of horrible power. There are many hills around 2 or 3,000 miles away. All were beaten into fly ash. Now look at the appearance of this Baron's powerful ability to cast a spell, which is covered by his consciousness, and the distance that can be accurately locked. Inwardly, if we changed Wei Suo's soul sword and lit Kinyu Moon and other techniques, it might hit 4 or 5,000 miles at a time, so that the other party could not even see the face, even he could not perceive it, and was directly sudden blows and killings are not necessarily. Except for Ling Long Sky, everyone such as Wei Suo has only seen it in the records of ancient books. The ancients were a little shocking. They can kill thousands of miles or even tens of thousands of opponents with one finger. Now I can't think of it here, I have seen a near real scene. At this moment, Wei Suo and others had been separated from this four-armed barbarian by thousands of miles. Seeing this four-armed barbarian once again completely lost their perception of them, all the people were suddenly set in their hearts. Next, after waiting for more than 9,000 miles from this four-armed baron, and recharging the immortal Jade Mountain, Wei Suo reappeared, igniting the baron again. Wei Suo did the calculation and deliberately did it, but this four-armed aristocratic party may have in his mind the tricks or magic instruments used by Wei Suo and others, and they will be released again every once in a while. Once, I was not discouraged at all. Instead, as if I had caught the law, I felt that there was no chase, and I had great hope of chasing Wei Suo. We were constantly attracted and followed by Wei Suo and others. There are many people in the Yunling continent, there are many people in the Silent continent, and there are few traces of monks in the wild. We simply lead it to the Silent continent. Seeing this calculation has great hope for success, Wei Suo and others also immediately set a destination to lead. I managed to attract this power of the Baron to deal with the two Shenxian powers that had fallen, but it was still the most arrogant. Just a few days ago, it was publicly clamored, as long as Wei Suo appeared, he would kill Wei Suo's family. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1113. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. The Yuhua family is the most arrogant, and the first to stand up and publicly clamor to kill Wei Suo. If it can deal with the Yuhua family, the effect of killing chickens and monkeys is the best. Moreover, although the city and mountain gates of the Silent Continent have their own means of communication, many cities and mountain gates are unable to communicate with each other. Unless it happens that all those great powers are gathered near the Yuhua family, it is impossible. Came and besieged Wei Suo. In addition, one of the most important reasons that Wei Suo first thought of is that the cold mainland is sparsely populated, and many ice fields between the city and the city are rough, and there are few traces of monks. This led the four-armed baron to travel from these areas through the Silent Continent, to the greatest extent possible without exposing the whereabouts in advance, and to avoid causing death and injury to unrelated monks. On the same day, Yuhua Yingtian was killed in Qingyu City. Although he tried his best, many monks died because of his fight with Yuhua Yingtian, which caused the young monk to have a useful pill for Yin Liwa medicine. They would rather destroy it, and want to assassinate Yin Liwa. This matter also gave Wei Suo a great impression and a great touch. Different from the original origin of the Super Buddhism, since the foundation of self-cultivation since the foundation was built on the power of oppression and plundering of the low-level monks at the bottom, Wei Suo's experience so far has made him think, mood and general power is also very different. The general power is probably the same as what the old man in the green robe said. It is completely in his own self. When he sees any good things, he has to find ways to it. Any opponent who may threaten himself must try his best to kill him. Even many sect classics, in the records left by the powerful, are all about asking people to kill the love and destroy the desire. Anyone can ignore it and everyone can be beheaded, but only to improve their cultivation practice. In this way, there will be no weaknesses, no chance for opponents to take advantage of, and in the face of the demon when breaking through the realm, it can also be passed through with all beheads, very simple. If this kind of monk can really become a god, it really becomes a demon, and there are almost no ordinary people's feelings. According to the understanding of many monks, this is truly transcendent, and the realm of ordinary people is difficult to understand. But Wei Suo was completely different. Since the Yin Liwa incident happened, he has realized the truth of getting more help than getting helpless. To be honest, if he hadn't always been very disciplined, it would be a must for everyone to speak. When it comes to a sense of trustworthiness, he's definitely in a much more difficult situation now. Many people live and die together with him. Whenever there is a critical moment, not so many people will come forward to help him. Helping others to come forward, acting chivalrously, acting in accordance with fair dealings, and not bullying others, these kinds of rules of conduct, although in the short term, are indeed not as hard-working as the old man in the green robe said. The practice of stealing all things regardless of the 3, 71 and 21 methods can be used to improve fast and supernatural powers, but in the long run, I am afraid that there will be greater benefits. If a person does not have 7 feelings and 6 desires, even if he is cultivated to be invincible in the world, and he is high above the earth, then he really cultivates himself into a peerless soldier, and he can't be regarded as an individual, meaningless. The 2 divine profound powers of the Xuanhuan family have all fallen, and that heritage has been used up. What is there to rely on now? Dare to jump out and say that we are going to kill us? Xuanhuan family is not ignorant of Wei Suo's means, they will definitely not bluff. All the way through the Wild Baron, leading the 4-armed Baron to the Silent Continent, everyone couldn't help but speculate about what other means the Xuanhuan family had this time. It should be a powerful magic weapon that can be inspired by the monks to bring out the mountain gate. Wei Suo thought that it should not be a big ban in the mountain gate, because if the Xuanhuan family had previously released it, as long as he dared to publicly show up, the Xuanhuan family would kill him. It's best to use it for one time. It's best to kill the guy from the desert, or to beat the guy from the desert to death. When Weizhuo had just escaped from the Daishanei Shandong mansion, everyone all felt that there was no way to deal with the next situation, and the disaster was coming, but at the moment, seeing the success of attracting the power of the barbarian, Han Weiwei and others were very excited. Let's go to the place near the mountain gate of Xuanhuan Shijia. It's best to take the opportunity to yell and make Xuanhuan Shijia. Even if you don't think that the power of the Baron is you, let them think that the power of the Baron is ours. Helper the old man in the green robe saw that there was no dangerous change at the moment, and he calmed down a lot. He helped calculate it. At that time, all the magic fog and aura magic instruments that can hide the sight from our hands are all excited, making a square number. Thousands of miles and stingy seas generally cover the sky and the sun. You don't have to hide the power of this Baron, as long as you let the people of the Xuanhuan family think that the Baron power of the virtual footwork is you, or someone on our side. That's enough. In the appearance of this barbarian Lashuruksha, even if it is very clear that the opponent is our opponent, he will not be polite if the opponent beats him. This is a good plan, but if you want to set up such a place to cover the sky and the sun, you must first set it up, completely distanced from the 4-armed barbarian, and then try to slowly introduce him into the area, otherwise if it is in the 7 the magic weapon was cast within the range of 8,000 miles, and it is likely that he will perceive our approximate location. When a round of strong power hits us, our refuge from the immortal Jade Mountain cannot be supported. Wu goddess and Xuanhuan ancestor, they both nodded and began to plan carefully. Just as Wei Suo and others traversed the barren wildly with great care, and constantly kept the fierce gods and evils, like the four-armed barbarians like the Luosha and the extraterrestrial demon recorded in some mythological stories, Yuhang Continent, Tianqian Continent, Yunling Continent, Silent Continent, Liuhuo Continent, in many places, countless monks are waiting and guessing. What control does the Yuhua family have, so arrogant? Is it true that 2 of the most talented monks in the family for thousands of years have died in the hands of Wei Suo, so have they lost their minds? Many people are talking about this. What Wei Suo and others did not know at the moment is that the Yuhua family is more arrogant and stronger than they know. The Xiaji realm was jointly attacked by hundreds of monks, among which there are several Shenqian mighty powers, but almost all of these hundreds of monks and several Shenqian mighty powers have concealed the real truth with various spells and magical instruments. Face. Among all the monks participating in the Xiaji mountain gate of the Sweeper and Weizhuo Union, only the monks of the Yuhua family did not hide their true face and showed themselves in real identity. Why so? Haven't you always claimed to be a domineering real person? We are now exterminating Xiaji realm. If you have the courage, you will come out and we will destroy you with one hand. After breaking through the mountain gate of the Xiaji, the owner of the Yuhua family and several old class characters even made such a voice. All the monks involved in breaking through the small polar world must be Wei Suo's enemies, and they must be those superpowers, but the enemy belongs to the enemy, and no one wants to be the first bird. Like Deng Xianzong and Huaishan Church, Wei Suo burned. This approach of the Yuhua family is tantamount to igniting the upper body. After the 2 Shenqian Mengnang fell, it is still so strong that almost all monks are puzzled. Did Wei Suo dare to show up in public? He must immediately show up publicly and show his own means, otherwise, if he dare not show up, then these sects will definitely deal with Deng Xianzong, and even attack those sects who are allied with him. He cannot protect those sects according to his promise. If that is the case, then his power and credibility will be defeated. No other sect and monk dare to stand on his side. Even these sects will directly break into the Tianqian continent and completely cut off his backing, so that Wei Suo is like a real one. The dog is lost. In an ice field outside the Blackwood city in the western part of the Silent Continent, dozens of monks who went out to hunt monsters and beasts are also constantly discussing the battle between Wei Suo and many superpowers. This battle is now affecting the general trend of the entire monastic circle. The Yuhua family is the overlord of the western part of the Silent Continent, and almost controls the entire western part of the Silent Continent. Its true inheritance, the real mountain gate, is in a frozen field of ice about 100,000 miles from the Blackwood city. The external monk city pools are connected, and the frozen land of the ice field is 20,000 miles away. They are all forbidden by the Yuhua family, so the mountain gate of the Yuhua family is also very mysterious. Very few people have entered and seen the scene inside. These dozens of monks in the Blackwood city are not weak, and all of them are above the ideal level. At this moment, they are also in the ice field more than 10,000 miles away from the Blackwood city. The shadow of Blackwood city, at a glance, is just a piece of ice and snow, connecting the sky and earth, and in the sky, the goose feathers and snow are still scattered from time to time. Boom! As these dozens of monks in the Blackwood city hurried on the road while discussing the general trend of the world, suddenly, the far end of the sky was shocked. There was a terrifying gas machine, coming through the endless void. Let this all the monks were horrified. These monks looked at the breathing direction for the first time. I saw extremely far away, there was a little golden light jumping between the sky and the earth. The golden light came from far away. Who is it? The gas machine is so scary. Such a speed, at least 100 miles away. This group of monks are divided into different situations, and their knowledge is much higher than that of ordinary low-level monks. At first glance, this group of monks' faces are instantly shocked. All of them know that the distance of the golden light from them does not yet know how many miles away, the real energy fluctuations cannot be transmitted to them at all, and this G machine can make them feel extremely horrified at once. That is just because this is the monk's intuition, just like a camel in the desert, who can sense the formation of a big storm in the distance. And this kind of intuition can only show that the man's cultivation behavior and supernatural power for them. It is like the difference between the big storm that swept through everything and the ordinary camel. And this distance at this moment is just like watching the sun rise on the horizon. The golden light looms out. Although the distance that the golden light of the sky jumps is not amazing, in fact, this distance across the void must be amazing. It's the direction of Xuanhuan family. This kind of fast and sun-like brilliance, I'm afraid there's only that man's hollow footwork. For a moment, these monks couldn't help but glance at each other, and they were almost shocked to speak. Xuanhuan actually appeared, killing Xuanhuan family. Such a thought appeared in their minds at the same time. What, there is no mistake, it's the breath of Dongxiu footwork, and has already passed the Blackwood city. Just when this group of monks happened to see the terrifying escape of the sky, a message has also been introduced to Xuanhuan family. At the same time, many cities, caravans, various monk organizations, and the flames used to convey messages have been rushing into the sky all over the cold mainland. Asterisk. Both nostrils are blocked. Last night, I couldn't sleep for the whole night, in a state of madness. The next chapter is estimated to be around 9 in the evening. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1114. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Buddha Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. The true mountain gate of the Xuanhuan family is located in 9 ice peaks, which are hundreds of miles of palaces on the ice field. The 9 ice peaks are crystal clear, and are true Xian ice, and there is a glimmer of light inside. It seems that the entire 9 huge ice seals are 9 huge ice swords, which can be cut at any time. The hundreds of miles of palaces, most of them are made of immortal ice and cold jade, look beautiful and gorgeous. There are 4 pyramid-shaped altars in the 4 corners of southeast and northwest, which are also covered with ice, but above the altar, there is a purple luminescence suspended by several people, like 4 huge candle flames, irradiating the quartet, but at the same time faintly connected with the air machine. It seems to be a big formation. This family of monastic monks who have inherited tens of thousands of years is generally a supernatural monk with amazing abilities. It has gathered some Taoists, relatives, and friends, and gathered together. It has been developed from a monastery in Sangsu caves. The super sect is quite inferior, but the inner background and inheritance are more amazing than most of the super sect. Especially this family of monks, who pay attention to lineage, study the physique of a lineage very thoroughly, and often develop the best exercises suitable for themselves, so the cultivation of ordinary young children enters the border, compared with the super lineage disciples, much faster. It is for this reason that these monastic families, such as the Xuanhuan family and the Changsun family, have been very powerful for thousands of years. In this generation, even the blue smoke from the ancestral graves. Two surprises came out in a row, and they were very beautiful. They successfully broke through Shengxuan's Shenqian great power at the young age. Yunghua Ruoxing and Yunghua Yingtian, especially Yunghua Ying God, even for a few decades, is the trend of becoming the first person in the continent. It is important to know that no matter how amazing the family is, or the super lineage inherited in order, when training disciples, they will not use any background at the beginning, and they will be treated equally, unless they wait until someone is particularly sharp. Focus on training. Unless we are now facing such a crisis of Weisuo, we will use all the contents, which is equivalent to opening the treasure trove accumulated by the ancestors for thousands of years, spending all at once, and enhancing our strength. Yunghua Yingtian and Yunghua Ruoxing were born, but before facing a crisis like Weisuo, they were truly able to achieve amazing magical powers by virtue of their genius and encounters. It is very likely that two people will be connected in a period. The power of amazing achievements is really not easy. But no one in Yunghua's family thought that these two people would all die in the hands of Weisuo. How can this not make the Yunghua family go crazy? Finally came out, with a bang, when the news that Weisuo killed the Yunghua family passed into the mountain gate of the Yunghua family. In an icy hall, the owner of the Yunghua family suddenly took a picture. The cold jade chair covered in fiery red monster skin stood up violently, and the whole hall suddenly seemed to thunder. The head of the Yunghua family, now wearing a red and purple dress, the two pure colors of red and purple are just separated from the center line, and one color occupies one side, making this glorious ancient dress. The left and right sides, like two gods, light and tide water, will not extinguish each other. His hair was also wrapped with a broken ancient hairpin, which had a fragrant color, exuding a mysterious atmosphere, and was obviously a very powerful magic weapon. With the 7 colors, the ring face is an ancient ring of begonia flowers, and it also exudes an ancient atmosphere. This costume is clearly fully prepared, and many powerful magic weapons and ancient treasures that are not usually displayed are piled on the body to prepare for war. In his next episode, the 6 old antique characters, all wearing simple vestments, also stood up extremely coldly at the same time. Like the head of Yunghua, these 6 old antique characters were all the characters who reached the peak of Jinden's 5-fold. Based on the strength and heritage of the Yunghua family, with so many monks close to Shengxuangziu, it should not be difficult to cultivate 1 or 2 great powers of Shenqian, but at the moment, none of these people have broken through Shenqian. The Yunghua family has no control, which is equivalent to not opening all the treasures left by the ancestors. In addition to the 6 old antique characters of the Yunghua family, there are 2 real gods in this hall. One of them, where there is Weisuo's opponent, he is going to insert the Zantai Linglan in one hand. At this moment, the cultivation of Zantai Linglan is close to the late stage of Shenqian. Relying on the golden gourd of the void, Weizhuo is now basically nothing. Not for him. The other person, however, was a young horse-faced monk wearing a fiery red vest with extremely intense fire and a somber face. This young horse-faced monk also possessed a 3-fold practice of Shenqian, and apparently had realized at least one avenue of jurisdiction. When he heard that Weisuo appeared, a fiery red fierce godlike pattern appeared from above his head. When it came out, it formed a fiery red gourd shape. This young horse-faced monk, Weisuo, and others, had never seen it before, but was the first apprentice of God of Fire Territory, God of Fire. The King of Fire Territories can be said to be too weak to enemies, and he died so badly that a disciple he cultivated had actually achieved such amazing cultivation practices. It's just right. It can happen to avenge Yunghua Ruoxing and Yunghua Yingtian. He has dealt with us by such means, absolutely can't think of it, we will use the same means to deal with him. And this is different from the past. His magic weapon, he couldn't save him at all. With a thud, as he stood fiercely from the throne, the head of the Yunghua family roared again. It's the breath of true footwork, not its incarnation. The opportunity to kill this person is here. At the same time, many palaces also made such a voice. It's almost done, the success or failure is here in one fell swoop. Above the immortal Jade Mountain, Wei Suo and others have achieved the ultimate, but after entering the silent continent, they still can't help but notice the traces. Only the four-armed baron, how fast it is to escape. All people don't know for a moment that the person who was found to practice the virtual footwork of the cave is not Wei Suo, but the power of the baron who was attracted by them. What's more advantageous is that the distance between the Xuanhuan family and the nearest city is tens of thousands of miles, so there have not been a large number of monks along the way. When the mountain gate of the Xuanhuan family is nearly 40,000 miles away on the mountain of immortal jade, everyone on Wei Suo's face showed an almost fanatical look. Wei Suo no longer turns into an incarnation, but directly imperial envoy to avoid immortal Jade Mountain, completely shake off the power of the four-armed baron, and head towards the Xuanhuan family. Marching to the mountain gate of Xuanhuan family, there were 20,000 miles away, Wei Suo performed a virtual footwork of the cave, and stepped out of Deng Xianyushan in one step, as if rising in the sun, rising in the void, crossing the void, and sending out the supreme. Qianjian, Xuanhuan family, you dare to speak wildly, you will not come out to die. At this moment, although Wei Suo is still 20,000 miles away from the mountain gate of the Xuanhuan family, it has already entered the restricted zone defined by the Xuanhuan family. Within these areas, the Xuanhuan family has been equipped with magical instruments and monks. Wei Suo's voice was like thunder, rolling in the sky, and suddenly the whole Xuanhuan family shook. Wei Suo really came. And it is so strong. I chose Bingzuchuan as your burial place. Those who don't want to be enemies with me, don't enter the mile range. Anyone who enters the mile range will be at your own risk. Without the slightest stop, Wei Suo made a thunderous sound again, and directly hit two large Chaizumi, two huge white mountains, gliding in the void. This is a complete declaration of war, and with this huge power to tell everyone in the family of Xuanhuan, he is coming in a real body and come to fight. Bingzuchuan? Okay, let's go out and kill him. The owner of the Xuanhuan family and 6 old antiques, as well as the Zantai Linglan and Heavenly Fire God, all flew out of the mountain gate of the Xuanhuan family. Bingzuchuan is a large river that is more than 20,000 miles away from the family of Xuanhuan. The river is rushing and the climate is cold. The leaping water droplets are all frozen into ice beads and flying in the sky. In that place, it is unlikely that there will be any severe prohibition, and the look of the head of the Xuanhuan family and others is completely fearless. Even if Wei Suo is placed there in an ambush, it is not afraid at all. And when Wei Suo made a strong sound, calling the people of the Xuanhuan family to come out to fight, the Xuanhuan ancestor and all others, but the quiet imperial emperor, avoiding the immortal Jade Mountain, landed in the valley, ice water on the edge of the river flowing with ice beads. At the same time, it constantly stimulated a magic weapon, a thick fog, malaria and ray of light, rising rapidly, and constantly spreading out. Boom! Wei Suo once again fully exploded the double mysterious breath, the endless mysterious breath and the huge blood, shaking the world, and the huge energy fluctuation like the tsunami shaking in the void. At the same time, Wei Suo once again hit 2 rounds of missing months, and then flew towards the Bingzuchuan. At this moment, although the four-armed baron has been completely rid of them, at least 2,000 miles away from them, but he used his full power to bombard and explode the god's profound atmosphere. With the four-armed baron's perception, he will definitely feel the changes here will definitely come to check. By then, the dense fog was here, which just attracted the people of Xuanhuan family to fight. The only thing to do now is to dig a deep hole in a place as soon as possible and hide it, so that avoiding the immortal Jade Mountain will not be damaged by the powerful power when both parties start to work. The depth of the digging is probably at least over 1,000 feet, and the deeper, the safer it is. From the encounter with the old robe of green robe, this large and small hole is Weizhuo's blessing. It depends on whether this calculation can reach the perfect point like the plan. Obstructive eye spells and magic instruments are originally the most commonly used by monks. With the accumulation of Weisuo and others, such high-level magic instruments and high-order magic symbols are countless, and everyone is there. On the immortal Jade Mountain, everyone quickly excited this kind of magic weapon, but after a dozen breathing time, a wave of spiritual fog, various kinds of thick smoke, glow, and malaria directly filled thousands of miles, cover the sky. The figure of Weisuo passed directly through the dense fog and flew back to the mountain of immortal jade. Moreover, Weisuo and others did not stop at all. In Weisuo, they used the Mother Earth to detect the Earth's veins, and chose the area with the strongest veins, with a few rocks and fine gold veins underneath. At the same time, Jia and others continued to cast such instruments, making the various mists diffuse even wider. Even the old men who studied the prohibition of the magic circle quickly laid a batch of battle flags, and coming the arrays and other objects that have been prepared on the road suddenly emit a continuous stream of thick smoke and mist, and the diffusion rate is even more amazing. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1115. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Weisuo and the Wujin goddess used magical powers to turn out Xuanxia ghost claws and a large golden light flashing hand, directly pulling the pillars, and beside the big river leaping with ice beads, grabbed a huge column of frozen soil and thrown it directly into the big river next to it, wait for everyone to arrange it, directly into the deep hole dug, ingesting a lot of glacial river water upside down, freezing instantly, no one can see anything strange. In just 10 breaths, Weisuo and Wu Wuzi and others have dug down to a depth of hundreds of feet, and then went down, but the dug up the frozen soil was directly shot by the two with strong force. On the wall, don't throw it out. At the same time, Weisuo sacrificed the Wanli search mirror and swept around. Void Golden Gourd, Zantai Linglan is like a fly that hates the extreme, everywhere. Only these people came out of the family of Yahua. Where did that person emerge from the divine profound power? At this moment, around the Bingzu Chuan, under the deliberate actions of Weisuo and others, it has covered the sky for 5,000 miles. From one side of the Yahua family, it is already difficult to see the sky behind Weisuo and others, the scene in the middle of the scene, and Weizhuo Wanchen's shadow mirror came out at the moment. First of all, he saw the position of the family of Yahua. A peculiar golden gourd was looming in the void, like the waves on the waves, flying from the direction of Bingzu Chuan. This golden gourd is the magic weapon of the void Taoist from Zantai Linglan, the golden gourd of the void. At this moment, Weisuo was very clear. Above the void golden gull, there were only 3 people. 2 of them were the heads of Zantai Linglan and Yahua family, while the other one was the one they had never seen before. It is a magical power based on exercises. At the back of the void golden gourd, there are 6 old antiques of the Yahua family, and in the middle of the 6 old antiques, there is a car. What is the mystery of this big sedan? Ganjiame, old man, can you see what this big sedan is? There were only 9 people out of this total, showing the strength. Even the Xuanhuan ancestor could be sent alone, so the attention of Weisuo and others was all concentrated on the black big car. This big car looks like 8 big cars, with 2 thick gray and black arms at the front and back. The car body is square and looks like it can accommodate up to 4 or 5 people. There is no window, only one car door. The top is it looks like a black umbrella. The surface of the entire big sedan is covered with countless ant-like runes, and the light flashes. The magic weapon in the shape of a sedan chair is not much in the world of monasticism. Only a few famous ones are extremely amazing magic weapons, but it is not the style of this one. Ling Longtian and the old man in green robe just glanced, they shook their heads, and neither of them could see the origin and purpose of this big sedan. Is this sedan itself an extremely amazing magic weapon? Or there is a power enough to deal with us hidden in the sedan? But if such a power, it should not have been so mysterious, and it has already come out alone. Wei Suo couldn't figure it out, but he felt that this thing was definitely unusual. While digging more time to dig a hole, he constantly turned the Wanli search mirror and swept the rear side. Coming. Just as Wei Suo and Wu Wu had been digging down for 1,000 or 100 feet in a row, Wei Suo suddenly changed his face and whispered, "Let everyone gather immediately and enter the excavated hole." True Yuan was rolling, a stream of rivers mixed with huge waves poured down at the head, freezing all the holes above their heads. In the Wanli search mirror, a dazzling golden light has appeared in the sky far behind. The four-armed barbarian, surrounded by countless streamers of indigo blue divine light, exhibited the virtual footwork of the cave, and the heavenly demons outside the ancient domain came with monstrous momentum. Yuhua family, today is destined to wipe out your mountain gate. Yuhua family, today must be removed from the world of monasticism. Introducing the rivers of Bingzuchuan and freezing all the digging tunnels, Wei Suo once again issued a multiplicative sound towards the direction of the family of Yuhua, and the sound shook the world. It's time to die, and I don't know. I thought that if I made such a place like a stingy sea, would I be able to kill it like the stingy sea? How do we know that we don't even need to go in? Upon hearing Wei Suo's voice, a mad and cheerful expression appeared on the face of the owner of the Yuhua family. Boom! Boom! Wei Suo and others have inspired the immortal Jade Mountain, hidden in a large cave deep beneath the Bingzu River. They are all very excited and tense. The four-armed Baron power is like a real dazzling star, crossing the void and come, one step is 300 or 400 miles, and their time is exactly the same under the accurate calculation. The four-armed barons come later than the people of Yuhua family, and the people in Yuhua family are far from this peace. The area covered by dense fog, malaria, and clouds of smoke is still nearly 3,000 miles away. This devil-like power of the extraterrestrial demon has entered this area. I saw that as soon as the barbarian entered into this area, a terrified face showed a confused look again, obviously losing the breath of Wei Suo and others, and could not feel it. The existence of Wei Suo and others. Suddenly, the four-armed baron of the indigo-faced fangs licked the corner of his mouth again, and stepped out towards the direction of the family of Yuhua. Obviously, he has already sensed the arrival of the family of Yuhua. It seems it is people who want to deal with the Yuhua family, and want to find out what is going on from the people of the Yuhua family. Seeing that the four-armed baron could not perceive it, all the people on Wei Suo suddenly sighed with relief, turned the Wanli search mirror, and probed towards the place where the golden gourd was located. Boom! Boom! The four-armed barbarian power is generally fearless. Walking through the dense fog, it seems that there is no slight hindrance at all, and it is too lazy to control those prohibitions that are still emitting dense smoke and dense fog, and the figure and escape light are also covered and transparent, not coming out, but the sound of activating the hollow footwork, and that shocking chi, was shaken out in the void. This should be the voice of this person walking through the hole with virtual footwork. This man's angry machine is so terrifying, and I am afraid that he has made great progress. It is no wonder that he dared to show up so publicly and kill him. On the side of the Yuhua family, everyone also felt that the huge gas machine was tumbling in the void like a storm, but the owner of the Yuhua family, the 6 old antiques of the Yuhua family, all sneered. It's almost the same. At this distance, he should be able to escape. Just 2,000 or hundreds of miles away from the area covered by dense fog and clouds, the head of the Xuanhuan family reached out and the golden gourd stopped immediately, while the 6 old antique faces of the Xuanhuan family in the back suddenly covered with a very ruthless look, all of them shot a yellow light sign at the car surrounded by 6 people. Started so far? Sure enough, this big sedan is weird. What kind of magic weapon? At this moment, Wei Suo and others all saw it very clearly, all frowned, and the first reaction should not be that the sedan was so powerful mighty. Boom! But just as Wei Suo and others had just flashed such thoughts, the void around the dark black sedan was obviously shocked, and the surrounding air was squeezed by a strong wave that sparkled a crystal-like ripple of light. At the same time, a blazing bronze brilliance emerged from the dark black sedan chair. What, is it a mighty power? Wrong. In an instant, all eyes of Wei Suo and others flashed, and the figure was shocked. The brilliance projected from the big sedan turned out to be a human figure, giving people the first impression that they had all guessed wrong, and it was really a shocking power. But immediately, Wei Suo and others have already clearly seen that this humanoid is not a living thing at all, but a skeleton wearing a simple bronze battle armor covered with dragon patterns and lotus patterns. Ling Longtian also took a sigh of relief, his eyes filled with extreme surprise, a look that he didn't expect at all. This skeleton withered body only has its face exposed outside the quaint battle armor. Its skin is black and gray, like the iron that has been in the black water for a long time. The 2 eyes are like black ink jade, shooting a dead inch of black light. But the body of the skeleton is swaying with an unspeakable King Emperor Wei. This skeleton is not new to Wei Suo and Ling Longtian, it is actually the ancient emperor's corpse. No wonder the Xuanhuan family has such a confidence to publicly clamor to kill me, but actually controlled this ancient emperor's corpse. At this moment, at the same time, Wei Suo also reacted completely. In the past, the Xuanhuan family wanted to control this ancient emperor's body, but Wei Suo also happened to fight the ancient emperor's idea. Under the yin and yang, the ancient emperor's body fell into Wei Suo's hand, and Wei Suo was reincarnate. Played in the tower. But now, the family of Xuanhuan actually found this ancient emperor's corpse, who had nowhere to go after the battle of the reincarnation tower, and controlled it. Judging from the situation at this moment, the family of Xuanhuan turned out to be able to completely control this ancient emperor's body. With the divine power of this ancient emperor's corpse plus someone dispatching an emissary, even if he sacrifices the true immortal bone coffin, or the medicine on his body, it is useless. This ancient emperor's corpse, there is no need to approach at all, and you can start a shocking blow with amazing magical power, directly from an unknown distance. The family of Xuanhuan obviously has a thorough understanding of the power of this ancient emperor's corpse, so the distance is so far that the ancient emperor's corpse is released directly. Ancient emperor corpses are characterized by such immortal mortal objects. Once the flesh is damaged, it is difficult to recombine. Therefore, Xuanhuan family also got such a set of armor and put them on ancient emperor corpses. This set of inner arms of battle armor is obviously an ancient treasure close to the fairy order. Maybe there is any unique effect. Moreover, the divine light shot in the eyes of the ancient emperor's body was almost the same as when it was born in the yin-yang grave. Xuanhuan's family obviously used something or dark, which greatly supplemented the vitality of the ancient emperor's body. Kill all of them. As soon as this ancient emperor's corpse appeared, 6 old antiques from the Xuanhuan family, at the same time, showed an inch-long yellow brilliance on his body, and at the same time pointed his finger at Bingzu Chuan. Well, at the same time, the 4-armed baron power that was walking through the dense fog like the sun was suddenly Emil, and there was an extremely uncertain look on his face. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click add bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1116. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Xuanhuan family can control this ancient emperor's corpse completely. What kind of means was used? If it were us alone, in the face of this ancient emperor's corpse, there would really be no one left. A chill came up in the hearts of all the people in Weisuo. This ancient emperor's body seems to have recovered to its peak state when it appeared from the tomb of Yin and Yang. The perception and consciousness may still be above the four-armed barbarian. Now, even if it is in the Xianyu mountain, it cannot be regarded as absolutely safe. Buzz. Under the finger of the old antiques of the 6 Xuanhuan family, the body of the ancient emperor showed a dim light, a huge coercion, like a side of heaven, sinking in the air. What? Everyone in Weisuo was terrified. Even if they were hiding in the depths of 1,000 or 100 feet below the Bingzu River, they were outside, but they all felt that the world was shaking, and they all felt the threat of death. The suffocation pressure. Weizhuo and Linglongtian, the means of this ancient emperor's corpse, are very clear. Who knows whether this ancient emperor's corpse will first emit a black divine light, penetrate the void, and directly attack their location. This sun must fall this time. My family of Xuanhuan will rely on this battle today to deter the world and revive its prestige. The ancient emperor's body bloomed with majesty, and the owner of the family of Xuanhuan was very excited, and a fanatic light flashed in his eyes. At least 5,000 or 6,000 miles away from the ancient emperor's corpse, the four-armed barbarian power is obviously horrified. With 4 arms, a strong energy fluctuation makes the cloud around the air thousands of meters away, and the void gives everyone a kind of almost twisted feeling. The ancient emperor's corpse gave a low howling, the glory just flashed, and the whole person formed a black streamer, which instantly moved a distance of hundreds of miles towards the front, and at the same time, directly shot 2 black divine lights in his eyes. The sound of zheng, as if through the iron, directly penetrated the void. The face of the four-armed barbarian obviously changed, his 4 arms waved, and the indigo blue lines of the gods gathered like a countless chain of gods in front of him. At the same time, 2 black divine lights directly emerged from the void in front of him. Buzz. The sky shook, the 2 amazing supernatural powers collided, and there was a sudden light between heaven and earth, and then a darkness, as if the light within a few thousand feet of the radius was completely smashed. This kind of legal power of this ancient emperor's corpse can actually penetrate the void and directly strike the opponent at such an amazing distance. The breath of Weisuo and others all stopped, and the consciousness of this ancient emperor corpse could indeed reach such a degree. If the ancient emperor corpse discovered their existence, they could indeed directly attack them. At this time, in the glorious vanity, the face of the four-armed baron also showed an incredible look. At the same time, he had stepped back and seemed to want to stay away from this ancient emperor's corpse. Enemies. With his consciousness and perception at this moment, I am afraid that he still does not know what this ancient emperor's body is like. Zheng. But just when he used the whole virtual footwork, and just stepped out 1 step back, 2 black divine lights twisted around the powerful god, directly pierced the void, and appeared in front of him again. Buzz. The void shook again, and the four-armed barbarian was able to manifest an indigo blue warblade, sweeping through the air, blocking 2 black divine lights. Roar, this time, the four-armed barbarian mighty roared and found that he could not escape. Instead, he moved towards the direction of the ancient emperor's corpse, obviously daring to rush into his cast range. First, perceive what kind of strong person the opponent is. The ancient emperor's body lifted with one hand, and suddenly a grey light sign was played. Each piece of grey light sign flying in the void brought out more grey divine light, and the whole world was a grey piece in a flash. Just like tens of thousands, a huge grey waterfall rushed toward the four-armed baron in the void. This kind of scene makes all the people of Xuanhuan family and Wei Suo tremble, and the divine power full of true fairy breath makes people unconsciously fear from the bottom of their hearts. The arm of this ancient emperor's corpse, Wei Suo and Ling Longtian's eyes widened to the extreme, and they couldn't help glancing at each other silently. The two remembered very clearly that this ancient emperor's body had half of its body left, and both arms were almost completely smashed, but at the moment under the bronze ancient armor, the arm of this ancient emperor's body seemed to have already gone. You should know that any immortal mortal thing, although it is said to be immortal, but the flesh has been solidified. In case of damage, it is impossible to recover. If you punch a hole, that hole will always exist. Just like in Liwa now, if a few wounds are cut on the body, those few wounds will remain forever without any change. Right now under the bronze ancient armor, the legs and the other arm under the ancient emperor's corpse still look a little empty. It seems that there is no strong vitality support. It should be empty inside, but this stretched out the arm seems to be intact. This is a subversion of their cognition. Is that the magic medicine? Between Wei Suo and Ling Longtian's unconscious look, the two thought of the slightly blue panacea in the body of the immortal emperor almost at the same time. The elixir in the chest of the ancient emperor's corpse was like replacing the heart of the ancient emperor's corpse, and at that time Wei Suo and Ling Longtian both saw it very clearly. A light blue crystal layer appeared on the inner wall. If this immortality could make such immortal objects grow out of the body again, it would be too amazing, and it is a legendary god-level immortality. Buzz. The breath of the four-armed baron power also burst to the extreme. The powerful blood and vitality fluctuated, roaring in the air like a hurricane. Among its forearms, countless vitality rules shine, and the four powerful legal powers are actually in among its forearms are an elliptical mirror, a quaint sword, a spear, and a pointed sledgehammer. These four real blades are all indigo blue, but they have different powers. Boom. 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 Between waving his arms, the barbarian kept breaking through the grey waves that flooded the world, and approaching the direction of the ancient emperor's body. What's the matter? Did Wei Suo have the power to compete with this ancient emperor's body? Such a huge blood is definitely the sun. This sun depends on the extreme Dao immortal soldiers and life and death hard resistance. If he does not reach the true immortal, he will certainly not be able to resist this kind of power, and he will eventually be killed. The four-armed baron power and the majestic power of the ancient emperor's body collided again and again, just as countless meteorites kept colliding in the void, but this side of the Xuanhuan family had no doubt that the other party was not Wei Suo. The emperor's corpse is still very confident. At the same time, Tianhuo Shenjun and Zantai Linglan, the close disciples of the Fire Kingdom god who Weizhuo and others did not know, were inspired by a red divine light and a piece of nothingness, which seemed to connect the void at the same time. The light screen recedes to prevent any strong power from impacting their side. What is that? At this moment, the pupils of the people in the family of Xuanhuan family contracted instantly, and the void above the ancient emperor's body suddenly opened a mouth. An indigo divine light, like an ancient spear, stabbed fiercely from the crack come down. Around this indigo blue divine light, countless voids curled up, giving people the impression that the light from countless stars converged into such a devastating blaze that struck down from 9 days away. At this moment, only the Wanli search mirror was constantly turned, and the talents such as the ancient emperor's corpse and Wei Xiao, the power of the barbarian, were clear. It was this four-armed baron power that had launched a counterattack, and it was in the power of successive jurisdictions. Under the strong fight, this four-armed mighty is already less than 3,000 miles from the ancient emperor's body. At this moment, this four-armed barbarian, three of the four arms, cross together, but they are producing a strange seal. The hand of the ancient emperor's body was raised again, and the eyes of Wei Suo and others bulged. A peculiar realm manifested above the ancient emperor's corpse, rippling a huge true fairy breath, turned out to be an ancient coffin like the real fairy bone coffin on Wei Suo. The most amazing thing is that the ancient coffin is grey, but there is a red flash at the bottom, giving Wei Suo and Ling Longtian the feeling that this ancient emperor's corpse was sealed in a real fairy bone coffin that day, and this true immortal bone coffin is constantly confronted, and it is actually that he has realized many of the vitality laws of the true immortal bone coffin and created a new avenue of avenue. The magical power of the ancient immortals is really unimaginable. Even if the consciousness is incomplete, there can still be such an understanding. If you have a complete consciousness, I am afraid that you have already realized the cracking method, and you have already played the real immortal bone coffin. Laugh. The indigo divine light pierced from the sky, and stiffly pierced the ancient coffin evolved from the ancient emperor's corpse, but the two eyes of the ancient emperor's corpse again emitted two black divine lights, one under the blow, it blocked the indigo blue light and crushed it instead. The confrontation at this time was carried out in the void above the head of the ancient emperor's body. In the void between the ancient emperor's body and the front of the four-armed baron, all the clouds and mists had long been completely lost by the majestic divine power. A clear, four-armed aristocratic appearance of power, appeared in the sight of everyone on the side of the Xuanhuan family. This? What is this? Did Wei Suo get another strong law, and it turned into a godless, devilish? The divine light that he had just shot, the ancient emperor's body had to send two strong powers in order to resolve it. How come there is such a terrible power? At this moment, everyone in the Xuanhuan family was jumping, every thought was roaring, and the scalp was numb. Although Zantai Linglan has inherited the Void Taoist, but he knows nothing about the Huangzu. At the same time, Wei Suo and Ling Longtian are also carefully observing the look of Zantai Linglan through the Wanli search mirror. Ian's expression was extremely suspicious and scary, just like the rest of the people. It seemed that he didn't know the origin of the Huang clan at all. He thought that the power of the Huang clan was transformed into Wei Suo's power. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1117. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a Banshee. Xianmu Legend. The ancient emperor corpse and the four-armed aborigines are all true first-class existences. One is that although the flesh is decaying, the true energy is exhausted, and the other is that Xuanhuan is near. The power of the spell, the control of the rules of vitality, and the speed of casting are still difficult for the Shenxian monk to grasp. When the side of the Xuanhuan family was shocked and inexplicable, these two powerful existences have already dealt with several face-to-face. The treasure mirror, the ancient longsword, the spear, and the pointed sledgehammer, these four indigo-colored ancient soldiers representing the powers of different jurisdictions, emerged from the hands of the four-armed barbarians, and the meteors rushed to the corpse of the ancient emperor. Almost at the same time, a monstrous magic power kept rising at the endless heights, but there was another 7 blue mountains in the sky that evolved in the air, rippling with many stars. It seemed to be connected to all stars. suppressed from the air. Now Wei Suo is completely afraid to make any movements and show any breath, otherwise, with this technique of the four-armed barbarian, he can use the dragon body quenching technique to absorb a lot of stars to quench the flesh. The ancient emperor's corpse with one arm was even evolved into several jurisdictions that Weizhuo and Ling Longtian had never seen. It seems that the strongness of the four-armed barbarian has also caused him to have a crisis of extinction and awakened some memories and supernatural powers. Pieces of grey light poured into the void, drawing countless rules of vitality. A huge imperial chariot rushed out of the void. At the same time, the upper part of the imperial chariot was also non-stop. The evolution of a simple stalk of changa, set up like a forest, instantly gives the impression that it is as if there is an ancient army, walking directly through time and space. The vast void of the sky is annihilated, but there is no huge sound, but even the sound waves are completely shattered, annihilated in two waves of divine power, the overwhelming breath of true immortality. It is completely suffocating. What? The heads of the Yuhua family and the 6 old antiques, as well as the faces of Zantai Linglan and Tianhuo Shenjun were all white, and the souls were so horrified that they seemed to rush out of their heads. Under the constant collision between the two parties, the ancient emperor's corpse was rushed out and flew out. It seemed to be slightly inferior. Did Wei Suo have broken through the real immortality and could already suppress the ancients? Emperor corpse? This is a death fairy. What kind of people are you, and dare to control such a death fairy and me as enemies? At this moment, the four-armed barbarian powerful roared. No, this barbarian is not a brainless person, and it feels strange all at once. This four-armed barbarian can't figure out what kind of technique he used. He directly spilled his consciousness in general. This sound covers 1,000 miles, almost directly in everyone's mind, and sounds on the level of consciousness. Everyone on Weizhuo's side suddenly has a heart and hair. Fearing that the two sides are talking, they are all in trouble to find Weizhuo. Instead, they joined forces so that they were completely dead. No. This man doesn't seem to be Weizhuo. What's going on? On the side of the Yuhua family, they are all extremely responsive characters. At the moment, when they heard the voice of the powerful four-armed baron, they were all shocked, and they felt something was wrong. But at this moment, a more terrifying gas machine oscillated out. The ancient emperor's body sprayed with a grey light, which was like 2 galaxy spins. It turned out that 2 yin and yang fish formed, and evolved. A pure grey Tai Chi picture. As soon as this Tai Chi map evolved, the real world and the world lost its color, and the sun and the moon were dark, and it turned completely grey within 1,000 miles. Roar, the four-armed baron screamed violently, and all his fangs were exposed. All the powers of the jurisdiction he had turned out were smashed at this moment, and even his body was stunned. The majestic power is set in the air, like a painting hanging in the void. With the violent roar of the powerful four-armed barbarian, among his 7 tips, the indigo divine light of the thickness of 7 thumbs was also released, and it seemed that some kind of more powerful divine domain would also evolve. But the ancient emperor's corpse casts faster than him. When the four-armed barbarian powerful 7 divine lights just squirted out of the 7 tricks, the sound of Zheng, the 2 black gods spewed out of the ancient emperor's corpse's eyes. The light has penetrated the void, directly from the void in front of the four-armed baron power, and hit the chest of this four-armed baron power. Oh! Oh! As the 2 groups of frozen oil melted, the 2 black divine lights of the ancient emperor's corpse directly penetrated the chest of the powerful four-armed barbarian, and emerged from behind, directly bringing out 2 cup-sized holes. And everyone sees that there is a circle of black power spreading rapidly along this wound. It seems that the four-armed baron power is completely dyed black. What? Seeing such a scene, Wei Suo's side and Yuhua's family side were surprised. Wei Suo's surprise was that the four-armed aristocrat might be exterminated, and the ancient emperor's corpse would find their traces next, and the happiness of the Yuhua family is not related to the four-armed aristocrat. If there is anything weird, if you lose to the corpse of the ancient emperor anyway, then you don't have to worry about anything, just kill it anyway. Bah! At this moment, the 7 indigo blue divine lights spewed out of the 4-armed Kyanki's 7 tricks were finally formed. In the void, a giant demon with 32 arms and 3 heads turned out. Dang Kong paid his respects to the ancient emperor's body. Boom! This jurisdiction seems to have evolved a part of the mighty power of the strongest ancestors of the Aborigines, said by Ling Longtian. I saw all the power in front of the ancient emperor's corpse under the worship of the huge demon formed by the indigo divine light. Yes, including the Tai Chi picture that discolored the world, and the sun and the moon were all shattered, as if there was an unstoppable historical torrent that crushed the past. The entire body of the ancient emperor's body was instantly hit back. Thousands of feet, the bronze-colored armor on his body was also rattling, and all the lines of the gods cracked and cracked. Poof! The 4-armed barbarian roared with a stern cry, and the 4 arms pressed against his chest, flesh and blood flew out, and it was the rigid suppression of the 2 black divine spreads of the ancient emperor's corpse. The force was only greater in the wound. The 2 bowl-like penetrating holes replaced the general monk. Such a severe wound would have long since died. At this moment, the eyes of the 4-armed aristocratic powerful were like the essence, nailed to the body of the ancient emperor flying down, and in the broken bronze armor, a trace of blue light flashed out. The magic medicine that had shocked Wei Suo and Ling Longtian earlier was issued. Boom! In the eyes of the powerful 4-armed barbarian, an extremely greedy look flashed in an instant, as if the sun was standing, chasing toward the ancient emperor's body. The aristocratic power seems to know the origin of this magic medicine. What amazing origin is this magic medicine? This move made Wei Suo and Ling Longtian look at each other, both from the others. Seeing this in his eyes. What the are you? We are strangling Weizhuo here. If you are not someone from the other side, we have no intention of enemies with you. At the same time, the original thought that the victory was stable, do not even care about the 4-armed aristocratic and powerful Uhua family heads and 6 old Uhua family antiques, but they were all faceless and shouted with shaking. You are also Wei Suo's enemies. I don't know if the mysterious power was originally unfamiliar with the Silent Continent. I didn't know the Mountain Gate and the people of this family of Yuhua, or did the barren power just get that name? Most of Da Nang's memories, at this moment, made such a sound, which rang in everyone's mind. It's easy if you want to be an enemy with me, and hand over this fairy corpse. Among the 7 tricks of the 4-armed barbarian powerful, 7 indigo blue lights were emitted again, and the conditions were also stated. Senior, your condition is too harsh. If the senior is on the same line as us, if we offend the senior, we are willing to use other conditions to replace it. The owner of the Yuhua family and the 6 old antiques all yelled, how dare, although not knowing the origin of the power of this baron, but the blue arms and 4 arms, like the heavenly demon, are terrifying, and so magical. If the ancient emperor's corpse is handed over, the other party can say what they want. Kill all. A group of ants, even dare to talk so much nonsense, the 4-armed baron sneered, and once again evolved a huge shadow of the barbaric ancestor of the barbarian, paying homage to the ancient corpse. In front of the ancient emperor's corpse, a Tai Chi figure was again turned on, and the eyes were also shot with divine light, but they were still all crushed into fly ash, and they were beaten again and flew out, and the ancient battle armor on the body was almost complete. It broke apart, and pieces of it fell down. Wei Suo and Ling Longtian and others watched carefully. The body of the inner body of the ancient emperor, the lower half and the other half of the body did not exist, but one arm did. The blue magic medicine on the chest, flashing the shining light, seems to be a crystalline power flooding the body of the ancient emperor's body, urging the iron the body is reborn in general. The powerful eyes of the 4-armed barbarian were also nakedly nailed to the blue magic medicine. The indigo face was almost greedy and twisted with greed, and a spiky tongue kept licking the corner of his mouth. This is good. Old man Lube and Han Wei and others could not help crying, and Wei Suo and Ling Longtian were completely relieved. In the previous Ling Longtian and what they said, mentioning the Hungarians may be due to many direct swallowing exercises, so by the time of the First World War 6 or 70,000 years ago, the characters of the Hungarians were already extremely greedy. See, when it comes to good things, it is necessary to disregard all looting. No matter who the other party is, it is precisely this kind of mentality that the Spirit Clan often set traps. In the thousands of years before the Bai War, it also killed a lot famine power. At this moment, just from the look on the face, the greediness of this aristocratic power is undoubtedly revealed. At this moment, the great power of the Baron is obviously already, no matter whether the other party is an enemy or friend of Wei Suo, it is already for the magic medicine in the body of the ancient emperor. Asterisk. Is the current cold mutated? It's been so many days, but it's still not good what's going on. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1118. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. How could such a monster be killed? Is it really an extraterrestrial demon? The people on this side of the Yuhua family originally secretly controlled the ancient emperor's corpse in their hands, but they couldn't live forever. This group of people suddenly turned a little blushed. Asterisk. It's no wonder that if a bunch of characters of the level of God of Fire territories gather here, perhaps these four-armed barbarians will also talk to them about the conditions. Now the group of people in the Yuhua family, the highest among them, there is only Shen Qianmi, which is almost like a chicken and a duck in the eyes of the four-armed baron. Faced with this level of characters, plus that one magic medicine, how could the four-armed barbarian might talk to these people about the conditions? The law of heaven and earth, everything turns into sand. But at this moment, under the repeated blows of the four-armed barbarian powerful, some of the stronger instincts of the ancient emperor corpses with all the armor ruptured on his body seemed to be touched, and suddenly gave a deadly drink, followed by with his scream, countless grey light signs emerged from his front, but each piece of grey light sign turned into countless grey fine sand, which was overwhelming, like a huge sandstorm. This ancient emperor's body is so strong. In the era after us, it is becoming more and more difficult to achieve true immortals. The means of achieving true immortals are more amazing than the true immortals of our age. The ground below the Bingzu Chuan, avoiding the fairy Jade Mountain, even the Linglong sky was completely moved. In each of the grey fine sands, it seems like there is a long grey river flowing, and there are countless laws of vitality flowing. The countless grey fine sands form a domain, as if forming a web of highways, isolated heaven and earth. Even the four-armed baron power, was once again fixed in the air by the miraculous power, unable to move. This kind of power is definitely not the peak strength of this ancient emperor's body. Ling Longtian can be sure that if the ancient emperor's body was used to practice this method, it would be more unimaginable. In the era of Ling Longtian, many magic weapons and powerful laws far surpassed the current era of Wei Suo, but if the power of this jurisdiction displayed by this ancient emperor's body was placed before 60,000 or 70,000 years, I am afraid that most of the same level the true fairy is not his opponent. The more the world's elixir is cut off, and the era of declining monastery, the harder it is to achieve true immortality. The more difficult the road is, the more true immortality is, the more powerful it is. Roar! The four-armed barbarian emperor screamed loudly, all his body glowed indigo, and a series of runes appeared on the surface of the skin. It seemed that his body seemed to be composed of countless runes at this moment. The text is piled up in general, but it is still unable to completely contend with the power of the law evolved from the ancient emperor's corpse. His body was pierced by a grain of fine grey sand, and in an instant, it seemed to be covered with holes and turned into a sieve. Buzz! The void vibrated, and the ancient emperor's corpse struck a strong strike, but it kept flashing back and forth, flew back and opened the distance from the four-armed baron power. Zheng! At the same time, the eyes of the ancient emperor's corpse kept emitting black divine light, preventing the four-armed baron from approaching. Very good. Don't talk to us about the conditions. If you go on like this, even if you are a real extraterrestrial demon, you must be completely killed. The owner of the Xuanhuan family has been so scared that the soul will fly away, but now it is overjoyed. Laughed proudly. The vitality and supernatural powers of the four-armed barbarian powerful are extremely tyrannical. After the body has been punched with countless small holes, it is forcibly suppressed in an instant, and the ancestor of the 32-armed phantom is once again transformed into a bow, sending out an unimaginable torrent of power, crushing everything. However, the ancient emperor's corpses receded again and again, but it was more than 4,000 miles from the four-armed baron. This piece of powerful power that smashed everything and hit more than 3,000 miles was avoided by the ancient emperor's body. Now the pros and cons of the ancient emperor's corpse and this four-armed power can be clearly seen. The power and flesh of the four-armed baron power are on the ancient emperor's body. If it is hard, the ancient emperor's body surely it can't be overpowered, it's going to be killed, but the ancient emperor's corpse's spell range, consciousness and casting speed are all above this four-armed barbarian power. Fighting fast and fast, this four-armed barbarian's power fell to the bottom completely. For a while, it seemed to have only the ability to parry, and there was no chance to fight back. Speaking of this, the power of this ancient emperor's body is completely beyond the imagination of Xuanhuan family. Ah! Stop him! But such complacent and happy is just to maintain 1 or 2 breathing time, just overjoyed. The head of the family of Xuanhuan family is so horrified that no one looks, the soul seems to be flying out. I saw several face to face, the four-armed barbarian power that did not occupy any cheapness against the ancient emperor's corpse, but his face was extremely fierce, and he came across the void in the direction of the people of the Xuanhuan family. This is really too happy for the head of the family of Xuanhuan family, and it completely underestimated the experience and judgment of the enemy of the hungry master, which is just an instant. This four-armed Hungarian master has already seen that this name the ancient emperor's corpse is controlled by the 6 elders of the Xuanhuan family. As long as the 6 old antiques of the Xuanhuan family are exterminated, if the ancient emperor's body loses control, it completely relies on instinct, and it will certainly no longer have the power. What? This four-armed barbarian is capable of performing a whole vault method, one step is 300 or 400 miles, like the rising sun jumping in the void, and at the same time constantly sending out monstrous power to protect his whole body. This kind of power is really it was frightening at once, and the 6 old antiques of the Xuanhuan family were all screaming in horror. They were so crazy that they flew backwards, but they dared not think of other ways. They reached out and called the ancient emperor. It had to come across, wanting to intercept this four-armed baron power. Another world of grey sand was first shrouded down, and the powerful body of the four-armed baron was once again penetrated by countless sands. Roar! The arms of the four-armed barons twitched, and the 5 internal organs and 6 organs seemed to be constantly sanding, obviously painful, but on his face, instead, there was a more greasy grin on the face, which made the watch. Wei Suo and others were shuddering. The power of this four-armed barbarian in Ling Longtian's mouth was not so important among the barbarian at that time, but the style at this moment has undoubtedly revealed the greed, cruelty, and extreme toughness of the barbarian. Such an opponent is completely a demon, making any opponent tremble. Boom! At this moment, the stricken four-armed barbarian Mian didn't fight back at the first time, but was surrounded by more and more indigo blue divine light, and continued to show the whole virtual footwork, forcibly toward the family of Yuehua family people approaching. Zheng. The body of this powerful four-armed baron was shocked again, and was once again set in the void by a world of grey sand, and then two black lights shot by the ancient emperor's corpse entwining the law of countless vitality penetrated the body again. What? But what made the people of the Yuehua family, including the ancient emperor's corpse, scream loudly was that the grin on the four-armed baron's face was even stronger. Among the heads of the ancient emperor's corpse, the glory flashed, and there seemed to be the real fire of the sun was burning, and even the dead, black eyes spewed out an inch of golden real fire. The ancient emperor's corpse roared like a roar of 1,000 ghosts. The crippled iron body was desperately twisted in the void, and the void kept annihilating behind him, and it continued to fall backwards and flew back, giving the impression that his entire soul was they all seemed to be cooked in a hot oil pan. If you come here. Wei Suo, Ling Longtian and other people recognized this method. It seems that this method of killing the consciousness that can condense the amazing real fire of the sun is to condense the consciousness to a certain extent. The technique is a little closer, and now the four-armed barbarian is able to launch this blow only less than 2,500 miles from the ancient emperor's body. The ancient emperor's corpse is a very yin-yin body. The true fire of the sun was originally the nemesis of the yin-chi. The four-armed barbarian power has obviously been brewing this blow for a long time. At this moment, this blow is issued. Caused great damage, even worse than one arm of the ancient emperor. After a dozen fights, the corpses of the ancient emperor flew back and forth in the void, and the four-armed baron power was almost black, and the indigo blood continued to flow, but the four-armed baron power was a greasy smile. Instead of continuing to pursue the ancient emperor's corpse, he thundered and thundered in the void. What? The head of Yuehua, Zantai Linglan, and Tianhuo Shenjun, and 6 old antiques all screamed, and the true element of the whole body was activated to the extreme, but how can it be comparable to the speed of the four-armed aristocrat, but only to escape later hundreds of miles has been approached by the four-armed baron to within 3,000 miles. Between the buzz sounds, between the forearms of the four-armed barbarian, 4 ancient soldiers have evolved in succession, and the 4 domains of gods have successively evolved. Calling constantly towards the people of the Yuehua family. These 4 directions of God territory, the strength of each side, even more than the full power of the Fire King God, it is difficult to resist. Between a terrifying scream, Zantai Linglan directly launched the void golden gourd. The head of the Hua family and Sky Fire God escaped into the void along with the golden gourd, and evaded this blow, but how can the 6 old antiques of the Yuehua family in the rear be able to dodge? Just the first ancient soldier realm crossed across the sky, in front the 4 old antiques of the Yuehua family were all turned into fly ash. The second ancient war domain rolled over, and the other 2 old antiques of the Yuehua family and the peculiar big sedan were all washed into fly ash, leaving nothing left. The other 2 ancient soldier gods crossed in the void, hitting 3,600 or 700 miles before they disappeared. And the powerful power, dragged 2 out of the ice field below canyon-like traces. What is this monster? For a time, among the entire mountain gate of Yuehua family, I don't know how many people were horrified and screamed non-stop. And at the moment when the 6 old antiques of the Yuehua family fell and the peculiar big sedan was smashed into ashes, the yellow light of the ancient emperor's body flashed, and it seemed that there were countless yellow runes at the same time. What are you? At the same time, the ancient emperor's corpse was like awake, and made the sound when it appeared from the yin and yang tomb. I don't know if I can catch a cold tomorrow if I can get a nostril through sleep at night, I'm going to recover from life and death. It may be that I have changed my work schedule suddenly during the new year. I used to go to bed at night. I woke up at about 9:30 the next day. I was woken up too early a few days during the Chinese New Year. As a result, I couldn't bear it anymore, and I felt uncomfortable in my bones. It seems that the main goal of this year is to exercise well. Take a look at the body, prepare to report a swim, go for a swim in the afternoon every week, and then try to go to bed before 12 o'clock every day, get up for breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. The road is difficult, I don't know will it work. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1119. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Zion Mu Legend. What am I? You, a half-dead corpse. Do you want to make it clear to you? With a single blow, 6 old antiques with 5 golden peaks and 5 peaks were destroyed, and the 4-armed aristocrat with the indigo blue blood flowing there did not stay at all. He smiled and glanced at Zantai Linglan, etc. The vanished void, chased towards the direction of the ancient emperor's body in one step. The crystal blue of the ancient emperor's body exploded, and the magic medicine exuded like a blizzard instantly, exuding countless subtle blue crystals, and even instantly extinguished the fire, extinguished the ancient emperor's head. Most of the sun is really hot. Zheng. 2 black divine lights shot again from the eyes of the ancient emperor's corpse, while puncturing the void. A grey ancient character also metamorphoses in front of the ancient emperor's corpse, and a gas machine that destroys the earth is like a huge storm usually rippling in the void. Boom. The 4-armed barbarian powerful can fully evolve the image of the 32-armed ancestor, and pay his respects to the ancient emperor's corpse. All the terrifying power generated by the ancient emperor's corpse instantly turned into powder. What? The ancient emperor's corpse flew out with a strange cry, but after the ancient emperor's corpse flew out, it was like a waking dream, and found that he didn't seem to be a powerful opponent of the 4-armed baron. Instinctive, frightened in general, he did not know how to distance himself and fight again, just like Fang Cai, but he fled directly towards the rear side. Jinji. The 4-armed barbarian mighty sounded like an old owl of laughter. Between the 4 arms, a blue vortex was generated, and a white light flew out, but it was still at least 2,000 miles away. A monk Jindan lurking in the Xuanhuan family who didn't know where was photographed in front of him. With the sound of Poo, everyone on Wei Suo's side didn't see the appearance of Jinhua monk Yuhua Shijia. This Jindan monk had turned into a haze of blood in front of the 4-armed aristocrat. I saw that the 4-armed baron was able to swallow water like a python, opened his mouth and sucked, and an egg-sized white golden pill that jumped among a large volcanic blood mist, and blood mist was swallowed into his belly. After swallowing the blood mist and the white golden pill, the 4-armed barbarian continued to laugh unceasingly and started chasing towards the ancient emperor's corpse. What? This is not a person at all, but a demon. All the people of the Xuanhuan family were so scared that the monk Jindan was also an elder of the Xuanhuan family who was in control of the external ban. He was swallowed by the 4-armed barbarian. This barbarian can really devour the body of the monk and Jindan cultivation directly. Wei Suo, the witch goddess, Xuanhuan ancestor, and others saw the scene and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Although this four-armed baron is not high in cultivation, but his lineage is pure, and he cultivates the upper-class exercises of the baron, it seems that he has not grown up. Ling Longtian's voice rang. She knows better than anyone else. Only the orthodox blood vessels of the aristocrats are qualified to practice this kind of practice that can devour Jindan. These aristocrats are also the most powerful and terrifying. Now thanks to this name the famine have already reincarnated, and at most they can only be repaired. Otherwise, it will be amazing to cultivate into the territory. Boy, shall we rush up and destroy the mountain gate of the Xuanhuan family, the old man in green robe immediately yelled at this moment. Although the situation of the ancient emperor's corpse and the four-armed aristocrat's power has not been completely defeated at this moment. However, both the ancient emperor's corpse and the four-armed barbarian power were not badly hurt, and in a few moments, they had chased and fled one after another, and even the Wanli search mirror was completely invisible. Senior Xuanhuan, you come to recharge the Xian Yushan. Wu Yu, you come to control the Wanli soying mirror. If you find the trace of the powerful return of this baron, then immediately launch the Yin-Yang Void Demon Realm. Wei Suo took a deep breath and immediately said to Xuanhuan ancestor in a word. At the same time, Wanli Suing mirror was pointed in front of the witch goddess. Lu is the surname of the mother of the witch goddess, which is also the customs of the mainland of Yuheng. If Envzio forms a buddy with a person, the mother's surname is added to the original name, which shows that he has formed a buddy, and the buddy calling such names between them is also very intimate. If someone else calls it, it must be called the witch goddess. Keikaka. Weizhuo put Wanli Sujin in front of the witch goddess, and immediately rushed out of the air, releasing Suancha ghost claws, all the way up, and crushing the ice above. Without reminding the old man in the green robe, he also knew that this was an extremely rare opportunity. Even if the ancient emperor's body was as fast as the four-armed aristocratic power and the magical power previously shown, even if it was eventually destroyed, I am afraid to escape. At least tens of thousands of miles away, it was impossible for the barren power to come back at once. Now that the ancient emperor's body is gone, this secret weapon of the Xuanhuan family no longer exists. During this time, it is a great opportunity to deal with the Xuanhuan family. If you can take this opportunity to sweep the mountain gate of the Ping Xuanhuan family in one fell swoop, you will certainly be able to intimidate the world. What you have to worry about now is whether there are other great forces and powers around you. Okay. Let's go. Among them, Xuanhuan's ancestors and the witch goddess, Jia, and other people have already thought very clearly. There is no stay. Xuanhuan's ancestors immediately collected the fairy jade mountain. First break through the ice layer and take off. Boom. 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 The Weizhuo side itself gathered Xuanhuan ancestors, witch goddesses, Feng Wukang, Yahuang real people plus Weizhuo 5 gods Xian mighty. At this moment, except for the witch goddess, all the others were around Xuanhuan ancestors around the body, one by one rushed, and suddenly the breath was trembling, and the void above the rush seemed to have huge holes. I said, how dare you dare to be so arrogant, because I wanted to kill me with the help of an ancient emperor's body. Now the ancient emperor corpse is no longer there, what can you rely on against me? Everyone who doesn't want to be against me. I'll leave the mountain gate of Xuanhuan family, otherwise don't blame me for being ruthless. As soon as he rushed out of the Bingzhou River, the witch goddess swept around with the Wanli Suing mirror, and Wei Suo made such a sound. What? The head of the Xuanhuan family, Zantai Linglan and Tianhuo Shenjun, although concealed in the void at this moment, but with the golden gourd of the void, they can see the outside scene. Seeing Wei Suo and others rushing out of the ground one by one, the owner of the Xuanhuan family suddenly screamed hysterically. This ancient emperor's corpse was indeed the only means they used to destroy Weisuo. Now that we have lost so many people in Weisuo, like the power of several super sects, are all in pressure, and the Xuanhuan family can no longer have the power to contend. The mountain gate must be broken. Now the head of the Yuhua family is completely blank. It is useless to regret it. The void golden gourd does not dare to show up. I am afraid that he will be killed by Wei Suo and others. The inheritance of the ancestral family of Yuhua for tens of thousands of years will soon be destroyed, and who would have thought that the existence of the ancient emperor's corpse would be dealt with? This is completely like a cooked duck, which has reached the mouth, but it is hard with such a change. How can the owner of the Yuhua family be able to bear? There is no trace of mighty power within 10,000 miles, the witch goddess Wanli searched under the mirror, and at the same time countless glory and vanishes behind him, walking in the direction of the ancient emperor's corpse and the four-armed baron, and Weizhuo's the distance is always kept at 1890, so that if the four-armed baron can return, they will be able to find out 1800 li earlier and win more time to escape. Yuhua family, today I will destroy your mountain gate. The true Yuan and Qi blood on Wei Suo also flowed to the extreme. First of all, he swept out of the virtual footsteps, and soon led the Yuanyan ancestor and Deng Xianyushan for nearly 1,000 miles, to avoid Deng Xianyushan being damaged by what mighty impact. Boom! 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 Between the trips, Wei Suo did not stay in the slightest, and kept playing the missing moon towards the mountain gate of the Yuhua family. At this moment, there are tens of thousands of miles away from the real mountain gate of the family of Yuhua. Wei Suo is constantly playing the missing moon, but he is gaining momentum, just preparing to induce a nearly double power blow of the automated birth of the missing moon. It is not possible to hit the mountain gate of the Yuhua family, but a row of impoverished moons with waves of horror power glide like giant mountains in the void, but it also makes the people of the Yuhua family collapse. What? Many disciples of the Yuhua family have completely lost the courage to fight against Wei Suo and others, rushed out of the mountain gate, and escaped in all directions. It's a big deal to live and die with the family. If you do this, it's like being a traitor. Why not keep you? Among the mountain gates of the Yuhua family, the moment is the end of the scene. There are screams everywhere, panic escapes everywhere. The eyes of a gray-haired old man in gray are red, hysterical screaming, excited after a big bang. A breath of amazing ice energy was inspired from dozens of ancient formations, and the ring-shaped area thousands of feet away from the outer periphery of the Yuhua family, all fell with powerful power and an adult thigh. Thick ice cone. What? In an instant, the ice cone was like rain, and among the disciples of the Yuhua family, at least 7 or 8 of the 10 were penetrated in an instant. A huge ice cone was inserted, falling from the sky, and the blood sprayed everywhere red below the ice field. The scene cannot tell the tragic. Why do you inspire big formations and kill them? Many monks who had already prepared to flee, or monks who had made good relations with the fleeing disciples, yelled wildly. You don't let us run away. If you want to kill us, we will kill you. Even many people are crazy to slash in the eyes of the old man with gray hair and gray clothes. The monks of the Yuhua family in that area were killed together. Yuhua family is over. Many people of Yuhua family are looking at the scene of the prohibition and annihilation of Yuhua family disciples who have been thrown down by the people around them and the people who are still desperately fleeing out of the mountain gate. Extremely miserable, such thoughts emerged in my heart. Launch the ban. Looking at Wei Suo approaching the mountain gate at an astonishing speed, many of the superiors of the ashes of the Yuhua family were screaming in despair. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users please visit. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1120. Chapter 1120 Forced to appear. The news is unmistakable in the gates of Saint King sect, Danyuan zone, and Exaltation sect. There has been public news and an alliance with Wei Suo. Just as Wei Suo took out the ancient desolate, and in a secret place, the Ice Wei stood in the void and his face was extremely ugly. Beside him, there are Sushenxiu and Divine Lord. How, with divine ability of Black Bodhi Tianmu, he couldn't be an opponent, how could he be defeated in his hands, and he was still oyster. Sushenxiu was originally handsome, plentiful god as jade, but now it is roaring and extremely embarrassing. Just as Sushenxiu roared, a green radiant flame appeared in the far secret place sky, rushing toward their position. In front of me, it is the Tourmaline sect master dressed by the Taoist. It seems that you have already received the news. Tourmaline sect master's face is also very pale, his eyes flashing, and there is a feeling of great treasure. This news can't be wrong. My Yellow Court sect was also present in Hangxiang City. I watched it carefully. Black Bodhi Tianmu and Saint King sect master and Divine Lord did fall into this person's hands, and Saint. The divine mystic young man who was together with King sect master was killed by mind-devouring bug. Divine Lord nodded, and among the four great treasures, only his look was the most calm. In this case, how are the three roads planned? Tourmaline sect master bit his teeth and glanced at Divine Lord and Wang Wei and Sushenxiu. This person's cultivation base is not terrifying yet, although it is double divine mystic, but only divine mystic 4th layer. The shapeshift great art domain has limited power. Divine Lord looked at Tourmaline sect master and said, but if this person can deal with Black Bodhi Tianmu and others, there must be something powerful. Shapeshift great art, great treasure, or shapeshift great art. Tianji Udeo, at this moment, our great treasure is hard to come. No one knows which mountain gate he will appear next. I will come to meet you, just to listen to you saying that it is war or summation, not listening to you. Of Tourmaline sect master interrupted the Divine Lord's words with some anger. Tourmaline sect master, the sentence, Wang Wei and Sushenxiu's eyes, also suddenly gathered in the Divine Lord's body, apparently Wang Wei and Sushenxiu, now the heart also hesitated. So many great treasures can kill Wei Suo, but they have escaped by Wei Suo, and even divine ability is born in their Black Bodhi Tianmu by Wei Suo, which is really too chilling. Jokes, with so many sects in us, if we are looking down like this, what are the majesty in the future? Seeing the look of the other three great treasures, Divine Lord is a surging sound. We naturally can't find peace with this person. Heard 9 Divine Lords so emphatic, Tourmaline sect master and Wang Wei, Sushenxiu 3 people are one Leng, and days 9 Divine the Lord has been said to go on. We say he has what the powerful shapeshift great art, great treasure, and shapeshift great art, which means that we can get a good secret place as long as we can deal with this person, and I'm afraid greater than we had expected before. Eager. This is natural. The grayish thing in his body can even be blocked by the powerful energy of the great heavens nature bottle. Most likely the Emperor armament. Wang Wei's eyes were slightly stunned, and the golden divine light was very bright and very ruthless. But the key is that Black Bodhi Tianmu and Saint King sect master and so on, even if they can't escape, we have no confidence in dealing with him. You are in a hurry to ask, even if this person has a real Emperor armament, what kind of powerful energy can he use for this person's cultivation base? Needless to say, the Emperor armament, even his previous extreme Dao immortal armament, he did not have the strongest powerful energy of shapeshift great art, and at most the equivalent of the triple to the extreme of the divine mystic 5th layer. Divine Lord sneered, I don't care about you. The cultivation base and other divine ability don't necessarily match you, but the shapeshift great art is quite a lot. I have a shapeshift great art, even true immortal powerful energy. Can withstand. Even if he has a real Emperor armament in hand, it is impossible to stimulate the power of true immortal at most. Shapeshift great art, great treasure, and shapeshift great art, this is just one. He doesn't necessarily have an emperor armament that can always stimulate powerful energy. Otherwise, he has already used it during the Immortal Ascension sect battle. It is impossible. It has been so dangerously pursued by us. Tourmaline sect master ugly and shook his head. The key is that this person's work, shapeshift great art, is too heaven-defying, and this person is extremely cunning. We don't even know. He will first deal with which mountain gate to him. Now divine ability, we can't resist any mountain that you attack unless you get together. I have to wait for him to come to us, then we are really finished. Divine Lord looked at Tourmaline sect master and Wang Wei and Sushengxiu. This person is not forcing us to express our position. Then we will force him out, forcing him to face all of us. Forcing him to take the initiative to show up. As soon as I heard the Divine Lord, the golden light of Wang Wei suddenly rose sharply, and his gaze was suddenly nailed to the Divine Lord. That said, Tianjudao has some calculations in your heart. It is. Yes, the key is still the Great Heavens Nature Bottle from Culmination Purple Thunder section. Divine Lord nodded with confidence. When I was with Myriad Phoenix's young master and Black Bodhi Tianmu, I got some records about this Emperor armament from our Yellow Court sect books. This piece of Emperor armament is a refining that will not be produced by shapeshift great art and will be released from it. I am afraid that all Dao companion and pros of this person have been refining into fly ash. You said, grievances between this person and us, is there any room for reconciliation? Upon hearing the words of Divine Lord, the faces of Wang Wei and Sushengxiu and Tourmaline sect master all changed. So you don't have to think about other things. It's not that you die, or that I die. Divine Lord looked at the three people, but continued to say, but this Great Heavens Nature Bottle is not knowing how many years ago. Our Yellow Court sect is the oldest of several great treasures. 6th sect, there are some records about this thing, but this person may not know anything about this thing, and may not know that his Dao companion and his relatives may have fallen. And I have already passed the news with Culmination Purple Thunder section from their records. It is known that if the Great Heavens Nature Bottle is broken, it is possible to release the people. So we only heard the news that he didn't show up. We put the Great Heavens Nature Bottle in the bottom of the fire. No one wants to find it, and if it gets Great Heavens Nature Bottle, it is possible to rescue those people. I am afraid that this kind of humanity will definitely show up. When he appeared, we could send him to see his Dao companion and his relatives. It turns out that you have done calculations with Culmination Purple Thunder sect. When I heard the words of Divine Lord of Tianjiu, the face of Wang Wei and others suddenly appeared on the table. Lust, and the eyes were completely brightened. Yes, a few of us may not be his opponent, but we can wait for it, and we can rely on sect great treasure. How can he be our enemy? Sushengxiu called a surging sound, spit out a bad smell, and said in a face. Not only that, we can even set a time limit, and let him arrive within 3 days, and we can limit it, only he can come alone. In this way, even if he can hold the Saint King sect master and others, he can only come alone and be an enemy of us. Divine Lord looked at the look of Wang Wei and Sushengxiu and Tourmaline sect master and smiled. Culmination Purple Thunder sect master is waiting for our news. He is also very worried. If we nod, he and Underworld sect and Myriad Phoenix's palace will go all out. If we have to give in to this person, then they will drop. Tianjia Road, you have been in the chest, drop. You are deliberately joking. Tourmaline sect master, the face's haze is swept away, but the vertical surging sound great treasure laughs, murderous aura shows up. I would like to see, he is facing us so many people, what kind of end? Just be careful about this matter. After all, this person divine ability is extraordinary. If you work hard, it will not be good for us. We still have to rely on a secret place to make sure that everything is safe. Divine Lord is also a smile, but it is another look at the three, very profound. Well, this place is set at our Heavenly Emperor Dao Hill Gate. Our Heavenly Emperor Dao has just arranged several transmissions of shapeshift great art. which goes to our heavenly Emperor Dao, and it doesn't take much time. Wang Wei's eyes flashed, and his face was full of very ruthless look. Sect Master Wang is acting very fast, it is really to let the next down, but in the next cannot let Sect Master Wang have any loss. It is better to propose, if it is time to kill this person, Sect Master Wang Shanman some loss, then we how many compensation is provided by several, Divine Lord said with satisfaction. Sect Master Wang did this to solve our urgent needs. It was about the life and death of the great treasure family under the natural agreement. There was any loss in the heavenly Emperor Dao, and many of our sects provided the corresponding compensation. Tourmaline Sect Master the Horse nodded without any hesitation. In this case, then I will let the news, let Myriad Phoenix's young master and others go to heavenly Emperor Dao. Divine Lord smiled a little, and there was no stop, and he reached out and touched the flames. Tourmaline Sect Master and others waited until the Divine Lord of the Day to send out a message. It was the same, and the flames were used to spread the news by their own means. Immediately, the four people set up the escape light, and for a moment, they disappeared into the secret place. What? Let me go to the heavenly Emperor Dao mountain gate alone within 3 days, or else the great heaven's nature bottle will be in the bottom of the fire. In less than half a day, Wei Suo paused in less than 3,000 miles from the great town of Great Treasure. To this great treasure, I want to check the whereabouts of the culling purple thunder Sect Master, but the Saint King Sect Master and the Divine Lord have just come out of the message. The two sects in the city know Sect Master arrive in person. The first time, I have already used Sect's flame light to send such a message. At this moment, the news has been spread throughout the lonely cold continent.